Hello and welcome to DieCastRestos. I'm Jason and this is the 68A Austin Mk2 Radio Truck. Produced by Lesney in the Matchbox range between 1959 and 1965, this model featured an all-over coat of dark green paint. Early issues came with painted silver trim on the headlights, the front bumper and occasionally the grille. This model I have here has been in the war zone. It's very dirty. The axles have rusted up and there's also this clump of mud that seems to be stuck in the interior. And if you're looking through the window there, you can see it quite clearly. No real damage to the actual casting, so it will just be stripped back, cleaned up, sort out those axles, and a fresh lick of paint and some painted details. So here's the model after a quick bathe. It always amazes me with these, when they're completely caked in mud, how much better they look after just one quick wash. But my first action will be to use my needle nose pliers to remove the base. Once that's been unclipped, I won't remove the base. I'll first apply some WD-40 to loosen up those axles. The wheels would only rotate in one direction and the rust has sort of seized them on there a little bit. So a quick squirt on there. Once the wheels are freed up, I'll use the rotary tool to remove the wheels from the axles with a grinding block. The wheels are actually in pretty decent condition, not missing parts or broken plastic or anything along those lines, so I should be able to reuse all of these for this restoration. Now using a screwdriver, I remove that base from the clip and you can see there's quite a lot of dirt inside. I dissolved that big clump of dirt that was inside of it previously when I'd washed it, but there are some remnants. And now I'll pop some hot water in, ready to use the caustic soda for paint stripping. The model is based on an Austin Lodestar which was built during the 1950s. Its military variant was called the K9, nothing to do with dogs or teeth. And the military version served a multitude of purposes such as an ambulance, personnel transport, recovery vehicles, water carriers and radio trucks like this model. The K9 was produced from 1952 until 1955. The K9 variant had four-wheel drive and a greater ground clearance over the production truck. And the wire wheel, you can see the process here, it's gently buffing up those surfaces. Really noticeable on this model for some reason. And I'll just do the same to the base. A few remnants of paint just on the insides of the wheel arches, which I'll use a different style of wire brush to remove from there. I'm just going to take a moment to have a look at some of these details. The A-series just seem to be so intricate. The earlier castings, all of a similar quality. Especially the commercial vehicles and the trucks, because there's so much more room to work with and flat sides. That grille looks fantastic. My favourite bit is this. The little case on the side with the hinges at the top and a padlock at the base. Absolutely incredible. Here I'm just showing you the base where the name has been faintly cast on the outer edges, but this was moved to a more central location prior to production. Despite the move, the original lettering can still be seen, which is a bit of a strange one. Next I'll use some Tamiya light grey fine surface primer, as this is a darker model, ensuring to give all of those surfaces a good coat. And here's a bit of a close-up of the primed vehicle. This is really highlighting some of those intricate details I was talking about earlier. And the same for the base. For this model I'll use the Tamiya TS5 olive drab, as I had done with the 54A Saracen Personnel Carrier. I think this green is much more suitable, much more realistic than the standard kind of dark green that Lesney tended to use. Nothing wrong with the originals, of course, but I think this one just suits a lot better, and it comes out ever so slightly matte in the finish. Under the lights of my garage, you can see it's gone on very wet here. Looks like quite a thick layer, but it really wasn't. But 2 coats should do with this one. Now I'll move on to using my battery drill to scrub up those axles and remove all of that surface rust. And I did sure enough use those once again. And now I'm just going to clear out that dirt from the wheels using some warm soapy water and a toothbrush. I scrub away at the dirt that's collected on the inside of the wheel. And once they've dried off, I'll use some Citadel Gloss Nuln Oil on the wheels to make them look nice and original again. Once all of those components have dried, I will tap the wheels back onto the axles on the base and then touch up the ends of the axles with the chrome paint pen just to cover over the remnants of that surface rust. I just loosened the wheel a bit there so I could ensure I didn't paint any of the wheel. And then after doing the other side, I can slot the rear tab back into the base, and with a firm click, the base goes back on. Now I've picked up a 1mm pen for painting in the details. I think I prefer chrome to silver because it gives a real natural shine to it. It's a bit of a personal touch. I just found the grey didn't really do it for me. I particularly like using these Military chrome paint pens on the ends of the axles to make them look kind of new and original. And here I go on with the chrome for the bumper. So this is where we were at the beginning of today's episode. I had a muddy Austin K9, completely caked, rusted axles, paint chipped and scratched, not that you could really see much of the original paintwork there. And I had a load of mud shoved in through the windows at the back, so I needed a good wash at least anyway. All of the nice details being obscured, but luckily they could be recovered. You could quite easily miss that padlock on the side in the condition that it's in at the moment. So this K9 was looking like a bit of a dog. I took my time to repair it, and here is what she looks like now. In my favourite coat of the olive drab, so it looks a lot more realistic. That nice chrome front end, the wheels looking good. These military ones which have been through the wars really are some of my favourites to restore because they're so gratifying. The cab has these great flowing lines across it, and then they've got the big boxy back on them. It's a really beautiful casting, especially with those minute details. So thank you for tuning in this week. Thank you so much to my Patreon members and my subscribers. If you haven't already, please subscribe and please check out my Patreon page. There you can find some sneak previews of what's coming up next week, and there'll soon be some member input for the Patreon subscribers. All that leaves me to say is thanks for watching once again, and I'll catch you again for the next one. Bye for now.